sometimes you open up with someone and you thought they would treat you one way, and for some reason they didn't. It could be because they weren't the person you thought they were. It could be because there's stuff going on in their life that you don't know about. But that can't cause you to now hide and shelter away from all people. A lack of vulnerability, transparency, and honesty within you to others will be very, very, very visible to notice and to see in yourself in the next couple of years. It won't make a difference straight away, but keep carrying that baggage. Keep carrying around that dark, like by dark I mean it's hidden. Keep carrying that around, and sooner or later you're gonna realize this is actually heavier than what it once was before. Welcome, guys, to episode 2.
This is definitely not episode 2.
Are
you tired?
I'm so tired. Guys, I have a cup of coffee. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what episode this is. I have no idea. But welcome back to Truth Be Told. On this episode, we're going to be talking about a few different things. We're going to be talking about leadership, mentorship, who you follow, should you be following other leaders, are the people you're following any good for you? And we're going to talk a little bit about growth as well. So this episode is going to be a really good one for a lot of you guys. I feel like you're going to learn a little bit, and we're going to get to learn a little bit from each other. But first, to start talking about leadership, if you've been a Christian for longer than a week, you have heard of the term leadership. Leadership goes very, I don't want to, not hand in hand, but is very closely linked with Christianity for some reason. So first, that's the question I want to ask you. Why do you think that is? Because I feel like growing up in church, we've always heard about leadership. We've always heard about leaders. Your parents, when they prayed over you, they probably prayed for you to be a leader. Like, why do we talk so much about leadership within Christianity?
Well, I would say I think the first thing is that, well, you like, for example, first thing, you would say leader is someone that has influence, right? And somebody that has great influence is someone that has great power, right? And as Christians, we want other people to hear the word of God. We want other people to know the gospel, right? And to be able to share that, you need to have some level of influence. You need to be some level of a leader
Very
to
true.
lead people to Christ. So I think that's where it comes from mainly, like this whole like leadership and like it being so like so prominent in Christianity is because the main goal is we want to lead other people to believe in
Yeah,
Christ. What do
very
you
true.
think?
I agree with you. To be honest, I think, especially in the Bible, there was many leaders.
Mm,
Like Moses was a leader.
mm,
Joshua was a leader.
mm,
Like all through the Bible, like I can go on and on and on. There was so many leaders. Again, people leading people somewhere,
yeah,
and people leading people to God. So I think that's why they go hand in hand.
yeah,
The Great Commission, God has called us to lead people to Him. And like I
yeah,
know to make disciples, but to lead people
mm,
ultimately to Him.
yeah,
And I know in the definition of leadership, you said leadership is influence.
mm.
And I agree with you. I do think leadership is influence. But what is influence? I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of whatever word you say next. I say, what is that? But just to get a deeper and clearer definition on leadership, you said it's influence, but what is influence?
Oof.
I know that's a harder.
Yeah, so much harder. Okay, I would say influence is when you have the ability to impact
Yeah,
somebody.
that's so crazy. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, um, influences, some people just walk into the room and they just have a certain like,
yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
or some people speak with a certain amount of authority, or like there's one of our youth and um, oh,
Let's
I
give him a
was,
shout out.
can we?
Yeah,
What are you, Daryl? If you're watching this, anointed, absolutely anointed.
yeah.
And he leads worship in youth and on Sunday services as well. And when he sings, when he worships, oh my goodness, anointed. I would say that child has influence
That's
because
very
he
true.
impacts
Yeah,
with
that's very
how
good.
he leads.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. That's actually so true.
yeah,
Uh, I agree totally with you.
Mm.
When looking at, again, a lot of this is going to come from a church aspect,
Mm.
but in church we do talk about leaders.
Mm.
In the church you grew up in before, you guys probably had volunteers.
Mm.
Did you guys call them? Because you went to a different church than I would have.
Yeah.
Did you call them volunteers? Did you call them
I have
leaders?
no clue what we call
Right.
them.
In a lot of places they
Mm.
call them leaders. In some places it's volunteers. In some
Yeah.
places servers. Different names really all encapsulates the same thing.
Mm.
But in terms of leaders, do you think every single Christian should be a leader? Because I've heard certain people say I'm not a leader,
Mm.
and that may be true, but it also might not be. What do you think?
I think. Ooh, I feel
Yeah.
like I actually do think yes.
Okay.
I do think every Christian, not that they should be leader, but I think they are a
Okay.
leader.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, oh, now you're going to go lead the whole church and you're going to, take over the service and you have to be the loudest person in the room. I
Yeah.
just mean in the small spaces, like in your workplace, are you being an ambassador of Christ? Like
Yeah.
that is also leading. That is also, being a leader. Like I think people think to be a leader, you must be this big, big character, but like that's not true. I feel like if you're leading in the small, you are still a leader. And I feel like as Christians, like you just take on the role to lead. So I do think every Christian is a leader to a certain capacity,
Yeah.
and some will lead more than others. Some will lead on a bigger scale than others. But essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I was leading, well, I'm still am, but I was leading one of our teams in church. And I remember I was talking to a person, and the person said to me, "Patrick, I'm not a leader." And that's actually what made me think of that question before asking you,
Mm.
is because I feel like so many people have this like default image of what a leader is supposed to, sound like and be like,
Mm.
when that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
Leadership is influence. So anybody that carries a potential for influence is a potential leader, but anybody that's influential at all is a leader.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that they're leading teams, they're leading people, they're leading spaces. They don't realize that they're leading when they actually are.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 15 or 16 and someone came to me and said, I'm a really good, I don't know what she said, like I'm a really good person or a really good Christian or something rubbish, not rubbish, sorry, something like that. The reason I say rubbish is because when she told me that, I really felt like, whoa, what is this girl talking about? Me being like, it was something that involved leadership. And I remember me being like, no, 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 what is she thinking? That is not me. And I remember I actually cursed. So I would kind of diminish the image she had of me.
Mm.
But even back then, I didn't realize that, oh, me being me carried influence.
Mm.
So any circle that you're in, if you carry influence, you are a leader.
Yeah.
So I am so sorry if you are a sibling, if you are a daughter, if you are a son, like you're a leader, like you're leading someone.
Yeah.
Like older brothers, older sisters, you're leading your older siblings, parents, you're leading your families.
Yeah.
Sometimes the younger sister or the younger brother is leading the older brother or sister,
Mm.
So all of us carry leadership. I think what we do that's really damaging to the people around us is not realizing that we are actually leading people.
Mm.
Like, I remember we were talking a while ago about how it's so easy to dislike someone because of what other people are telling you about that person when you don't know that
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, Joe and Billy. Joe and Billy don't get on. They don't like each other. They're on the same team for football, but they don't like each other.
Mm.
I've never met Joe, but Billy's my good friend, and Billy tells me all the time that Joe's a horrible person.
Mm.
Uh, Joe, which one's Joe?
I don't know. I had to burp, so I actually.
The person, anyways, the person that is my friend is actually leading me to an opinion that's a negative one of that other person
Yeah.
because I haven't met that other person. So in everything that we do, if we're influencing people, we're leading them somewhere.
Yeah.
Again, influencing is about making impact, but think of it like this: um, everyone is traveling in different directions,
Mm.
and your influence is like a magnet. So you pull them to a certain direction. You pull them to the direction that you're traveling in.
Mm.
Therefore, you're leading them to the destination you're traveling to.
Mm.
So that's a really, really good way to think about leadership.
Mm. And I know I was saying how like everyone leads to different capacities in their life.
Yes, yeah, good.
So like what area in your life would you say you're leading in? Like I know where you're leading in certain, but like for you, like personally, like where are the areas you're leading?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm leading in several areas.
Mm.
I think at one, but obviously I'm a husband. You know what I mean? Like I would like pride myself in being the man of the house. You know, the only man of the house. But like God has called me to lead our family.
Mm.
So sorry.
Coco,
You know.
coco.
Thank you. That's a weird thing that her family do. I don't even know. But
It's like bless you.
in
I don't know.
gibberish. But yeah, God has called me to lead our family. So I believe I lead in our family. I think as an older brother, I lead in my, the blood family. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I'm an older brother, I'm the eldest in the house.
Mm.
And I know one thing I always used to say is I need to lead my siblings. I have made a really good and a really bad impact on my siblings.
Mm.
Like I've exposed my siblings to certain things that I should never have exposed them to.
Mm.
But I've also led them to places where God has just been able to do amazing things with them.
Mm.
So I've been a leader in my family. I've been a leader in my church.
Mm.
I've been a leader in my friend groups.
Mm.
I feel like I have I feel like I'm a leader. So in a lot of the rooms that I go into, I will often lead.
Mm.
There are a few rooms that I'll go into that I don't.
Mm.
But for the most part, most of the spaces that I'm in, I just naturally tend to lead, in my opinion.
Do you think that comes with a burden?
What you mean now?
Do you feel like there is a burden that comes with this leadership? Obviously, with leadership, there's some sort of responsibility
Yes.
tied to anything. And since you're leading in a lot of aspects, like personally and, even
Mm.
in ministry wise, you feel like there's a burden.
Well, there's a spiritual burden.
Mm.
And before I would have felt a weight, but not anymore.
Mm.
Like the way I view leadership now is I need to if I can lead me and bring other people around me, then I'm gold.
Mm.
Like I'm not trying to lead anyone past the place where I am.
Mm.
I'm not trying to lead anyone to a place where I haven't reached or like a fake place.
Mm.
So I'm just focusing on me. And if I could focus on me and just bring people on that journey with me,
Mm.
I'm chilling. Like with my youth, with our young people, I'm just super raw and authentic with them. Like I don't try to like fake it.
Mm.
Like I'm not trying to come off as this like super cool you pastor. And often people that do that are so cringy. You know what I mean? But I'm also not trying to act like I'm their age and
Yeah.
I'm like we have a friendship.
Mm.
I'm not your best friend. I'm your youth pastor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I'm being authentic. I'm being me. So I feel like in a lot of other circles as well, I'm just being me. When I was trying to be a leader who I wasn't, when I was trying to be a person that I wasn't,
Mm.
when I was following other leaders, but it got to the point where I wanted to be like them.
Mm.
So I would act a little bit more like them than I
Mm.
would of myself.
Yeah.
That's difficult because
Mm.
I'm not them.
Has that like damaged your leadership,
No,
or do you think it just like was
it's
just a
taught me. It's
journey?
taught me a lot. Like it's taught me not to do that. You know, it's taught me not to do that. What circles do you think you lead in, or do you feel like you do lead in?
Ooh, I would say in my family, like I feel like I would lead as an older sibling. Like I know
Mhm.
I have my older sister, but I feel like the responsibility to lead more would have been put more on me. So I feel like for my younger siblings, like definitely to just be that example for them. Um, Also in our youth ministry, I do feel like I have a level of influence there.
Yeah,
Um,
remember that. Sorry to cut you off. Remember that prophetic word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was literally. Do you remember what it was?
She was saying that I was gonna influence like the young women around me,
Yeah,
like that I'm someone that a lot of young women would look up to, and
yeah. I
yeah.
think that's so true though. But anyways, go.
But yeah, like so in youth, I do feel like I lead there, and then amongst my friends as well, I do feel like there's certain areas where I think I would lead in that as well. I do think that with the friend group that I have, it's not necessarily a group, but like it's like we're all friends, but we have our separate friendships. I feel like we all challenge each other in our friendships. So like we're all kind of leading, but we all kind of own that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What are some, because there's probably someone listening to the other end of this, and they're thinking, I'm not a leader, I'm not equipped to lead,
Hmm.
I shouldn't lead.
Hmm.
What advice would you give to that person? One piece of advice.
Hmm. I would say none of us are equipped. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like God doesn't call us for, you know, oh, because we have this ability and that ability. Like Moses couldn't speak properly. Do
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's less about what you feel like you can do and what God can do through you.
Yeah.
So don't limit yourself through, oh, I'm bad at this and I can't speak to people and like I find it hard to be in public spaces because I'm such an introvert. I think you need to focus on what are you good at and how can you bring people along in that, you know?
Yeah.
Don't make leadership this big, scary, complicated thing because it really doesn't have to be.
Mm.
It just starts with the small parts and the small things. And it's like, okay, where can I influence somewhere in a good way? Where can I influence somewhere to be someone to be closer to God, you know? So just take the step. Don't be scared. And it just starts in small, small ways. Like you don't need to do this big, massive thing, you know?
Yeah.
Um, if you are a Christian, you are a leader.
Yeah. I would say lead yourself. And by that I really mean fill your cup. Like everything really has to come from an overflow. You will reach way more people than you would. Like,
That's so true. Mhm.
have you ever seen that video? You guys might know what I'm talking about, where someone, like, there's like different type of, let's say, wine glasses, and it starts off with one, but then the next layer is five, then it's 10, then 15, then 20, 25, 30, and they start filling the top
Mhm.
cup first, but then when that cup gets full, of course it flows into the rest,
Mm,
then all the cups get full.
mm,
And leadership has to be like that.
mm.
So God is pouring into your cup. When your cup is full, out of an overflow of that, the rest of the cups will get full.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to lead yourself first.
Mm,
And how do you lead yourself first? You need to, like, we said this to each other: when we say something and we don't do it, we don't value our own words.
yeah.
Because, for example, your boss can tell you to be at work at 9 a.m., but if you need to get up for 9 a.m. to do something that you want to do and you don't, you value the words and the authority of your boss over you.
Yeah. I remember when you said that to me and I was like, oof. Like
Yeah.
that hit me like a ton of bricks because um if you can, get up and move mountains for somebody else, but you can't do it for yourself when you say you will, ah,
Yeah. You don't even value your own words then.
yeah.
And how is someone going to value your words when you don't even value them yourself?
Yeah.
Like, I had a really good leader tell me I need to ponder on my words,
Mm,
because in Proverbs as well it says, a man with many words is a fool, or a foolish man has many words.
mm,
And I needed to learn to wait and ponder, because the words I say should have value.
mm,
So if I'm going to say stuff and I'm not going to have any intent or actions behind them, then
mm,
people aren't really going to listen to me.
mm,
So you need to learn to lead yourself. So when you say you're going to do something, you need to do your best to do it. When um you want to do something, uh, and you really want it, you got to go do it.
mm,
Like, lead yourself. And again, out of that place, you lead others. But you are a leader.
mm.
Um, and again, there's leaders of tens, there's leaders of hundreds, there's leaders of of thousands and 10,000s.
Yeah.
Like, not every single person was supposed to be a lead pastor.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
like, like we're all different. You
Mm,
know, so you need to remember that. That's so important.
mm. Would you say that to be a good leader, you need to be a good follower? Like, how do you think those like tie? into each other, because growing up, do you ever hear like your parents be like, you will not be a follower?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's just such
You
a
will be
like,
the head,
you be
not the
the head
tail.
and not the tail. Like it's like a thing that you grow like I don't know, for me anyways, and for you, for the sounds of it,
Yeah.
like growing
Yeah.
up, it's like like to be a follower is a bad thing. You don't want,
Yeah. It
you
seems
must
to
be the
be.
leader amongst your friend group.
Yeah.
Like it's very much pushed narrative. But what do you think about being a follower?
In terms of like, do I think it's a good or bad thing?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. What do you think?
You can't throw my question back at me. Um,
I'll answer.
I think,
I'll hear your answer before I give my answer.
mm, uh, I think that being a follower isn't a bad thing depending on who and what you're following.
Mhm.
Um, I think to grow beyond yourself, you're gonna have to follow
Yeah.
someone that's beyond you. So,
That's deep.
um, I think it's not a bad thing to be a follower, but you need to know what and who you're following, why you're following that person. And if it's to build you and to get you closer to following Christ, then follow away. But if you're following something that's draining your spirit, following something that's bringing you away from God, following something that's going to bring you to death, then please stop following. Like
Mm.
that's not how to be a follower.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like if you can't be a follower to leadership or to anything, how can you follow Christ?
Mm.
You know? So I think to be a follower is a good thing, because if I wasn't a follower, I wouldn't be following Christ. Um, if I wasn't a follower, I wouldn't have followed people that were far ahead of me to lead me past myself.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, it's good to be a follower, just depending on what.
Yeah. No, I think you're so right.
Mm,
Um, you asked me. Sorry, you asked me if I think a good leader needs to know how to be a good follower, and
mm,
I think so. Yeah.
mm.
I think before you can learn how to walk, you need to know how to crawl.
Yeah.
And for me, I can tell. Uh, I know, like, I have certain people who are leaders,
Mm,
but I lead them in in a certain capacity,
yeah.
and I can tell which one of them are good leaders
Mm,
because I can see the ones who are good followers.
mm,
Because good followers make good leaders.
mm-hmm.
For an example, with
Very true.
Jesus, right? Um, Jesus had better followers than others amongst his disciples. For an
Mm,
example, Judas. I don't think Judas was the best follower. I don't know how far Judas went, but I don't think he went very far after Jesus resurrected. I don't think he did.
no.
You know, so we can obviously see, like with Peter, who went on, and was a part of the start of the church and went on to lead many.
Mm,
Even though Peter made mistakes, Peter was a good follower.
mm,
You know, and sometimes it can be messy, but it doesn't mean he's a bad follower or a bad leader. He went on to be a great leader. But I think
mm,
great followers make great leaders
mm,
because there's a lot that you learn in leadership when you follow a leader.
mm,
There's a lot you learn. Like for an example, uh, when someone wants to become an electrician, they don't just go to college and study all the theory. They become an apprentice, and they go to learn under someone.
mm,
So in order for them to be an electrician, they first need to work under an electrician so that they can learn.
mm,
So before they can do, they must learn. Before they can lead, they must follow.
mm.
So I think there's always something special in that learning phase. So
Yeah.
definitely, if you want to be a better leader, learn to be a better follower.
Mm.
If you're not a good follower, you won't be a good leader. I'm sorry.
Then who are you following?
I have, well, ultimately, I'm like following Christ. Like let's take, like, that's an obvious answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was wanting to see what you'd
Yeah.
say.
I have many mentors and many leaders in my life.
Yeah.
Obviously, I glean from some more than others,
Mm,
but I have various leaders and various mentors in our life. And one thing that I believe very strongly about is having mentors in your life.
mm,
I think a lot of people think I'm wiser than I actually am because I have received the wisdom from wise people and I've actually applied it onto my life.
mm,
And to an extent, there is
mm.
wisdom in that.
What is mentorship, and what, like, for people that don't know, like, what is mentorship? What does that look like? Because I feel like, um, through 2024, it was a very prevalent thing for you, and you were all about mentorship and getting mentors and, having yourself stacked up with people
Yeah.
wiser. But what is that? And how can you explain that for someone who hasn't really kind of understood that?
For me, a mentor is like a teacher.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like a mentor is someone that I want to learn from.
mm,
So it's more intentional than leadership,
mm,
because we talked about leading and, you're almost directing someone when you're leading.
yeah.
Whereas mentorship is teaching.
Mm,
And I think if you want to get better at something, or if you want to grow as efficiently as you can,
mm,
I think you need a mentor. For an example, every single team has a manager. A lot of sports have many coaches.
mm,
Floyd Mayweather, arguably one of the best boxers that has ever lived, arguably. Yeah, he had several coaches.
mm,
Like you have different coaches for different aspects of boxing, and he had several coaches during his career. But why would the best boxer need a coach?
mm,
Everybody needs a teacher.
mm,
It's someone who can teach you. A mentor teaches you. Believe it or not, guys, I've only been a husband once, and that's now. I've never been a husband before. Yes, I can learn how to be a good husband by reading my word. Yes, but learning from all the silly mistakes I make with Megan. But I only have one life. And I don't want to wait till I'm 70 till I can be a good husband.
mm,
So I'm gonna look for men in my life who have been good husbands, and I'm gonna learn from them
mm,
because I want to be a good husband to my wife.
mm,
If I wanted to be a good communicator, I'm gonna look for someone who can teach me how to communicate better,
mm,
because I can tape all my recordings and listen back to them.
mm,
But if I want to get better as efficiently as I can, I need someone who can teach me, because they already know all the mistakes.
mm,
So that's what I would that's how I view mentorship.
mm.
That's how I see mentors. But how do you see it?
Oh no, I'd see the like exact same thing. Someone to just bring clarity to the things that you may not understand, or someone to that you look up to in an area
Mm,
that you know that you need to grow in, and you know that, oh, they've succeeded in that, so to go and get the tools that they had and apply it to your situation where you can. So
yeah.
I would view the exact same thing. Yeah.
I know you've recently, like you have a mentor for, I'm not gonna say, but you have a mentor for a part of your life,
Mm.
and you've recently acquired a mentor for a long, long, long time. I was asking you need to find someone who can help you with
Mm.
this.
Mm.
I was just gonna ask, like, how much of an impact has that made in your life, having someone that you can learn from and someone that you can go to with a load of different problems?
To be honest, um it's made such a difference to know that I don't need to carry certain things by myself. And there's certain things that I can't share with my friends because my friends may not get it because we're the same age, you know what I mean? Like we've barely like lived much to know, you know?
Mm.
And I feel like being married as well, I'm at a different stage than all my friends.
Yeah, because you're
Um
like, in case you guys don't know, Megan's only 21.
yeah.
I'm 22, so we're still quite young. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's quite young to be married.
Yeah. So like literally only one of my friends would be married, you know? So and it's only recently I'm getting closer with this friend. So like I feel like there's not much people that you can go to with certain things, but having a mentor that one is married, one is a woman that I look up to, is someone that I'm like, wow, like you have wisdom. I feel like to be able to go there and not have to go to you all the time, because I feel like it's a healthy balance to go to a woman, because a woman is sometimes what I would need and a man is
Yeah,
what you would need. I
yeah,
can't give you certain things that,
yeah. You can't
you
teach me
know.
how to be a husband. Like,
Exactly. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean? So I feel like it is tremendously like taking a burden off of me, the one that I've always felt like, oh, I need to carry everything by myself. And the funny thing about my mentor is that she doesn't know that she's my mentor. I haven't asked her. I just go to her with my problems. So,
that's so gas. Yeah,
so I don't know if she's watching this, but like when I do ask you, you'll know.
yeah. No, it's good to unofficially have a mentor as well. Loki
Yeah.
takes the pressure off at
Yeah.
times, so no one feels like they have to commit to anything.
Yeah.
Do you think it's hard finding mentors?
I think it depends on where you're situated. Like if you don't have like a Christian community, or you don't have people in proximity that are older than you, then of course it's going to be harder to find a mentor, you know. It is possible, but I think it's definitely harder. But I think depending where you're situated, it's not that hard. Um, I feel like you just need some people to point it out to you. I feel like you were like, hey, you know, this person's here and this person's there. And I'm like, oh, like there's actually a lot of resources, like especially in our church, in our community. I felt like there's actually more people than you think. It's just, it's scary to ask, and it's scary to build the courage to actually build the relationship with the person and, you know, go from there.
Yeah. I feel like it can be difficult because I feel like a lot of people don't know what they're looking for.
Mm,
Because if you want to mentor, let's say you are a content creator
mm,
and you have 500 followers
mm,
and you want to have 50K Instagram followers in the next 2 years,
mm,
which is achievable, of course. But you're looking for a mentor because you want someone that can teach you.
mm-hmm,
But you're looking for someone that has 5 million followers.
mm,
There's a big gap between where you are and where your mentor is.
mm,
I think a lot of people are, you know, fishing in seas where there's sharks instead of going to somewhere where there's salmon.
mm,
Like you don't have the equipment to fish in this area, you
mm,
know. So I'm like, don't go above your means when looking for a mentor. You're going for someone who is ahead of you, who can teach you a lot. But as
mm,
well as that, you need to be at a certain level. Like, let's say you're here,
mm,
your mentor should be here. If
mm,
your mentor is way, 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 it's going to be a lot harder to find a mentor. That's a very high expectation.
mm,
You're searching like in the top 0.1%,
mm,
and it's a lot harder to find that person. Whereas if you looked at where you actually were and you were very humble about it and seen where you were and said, who's a little bit ahead of me right now who can help me get to where they are? Because
mm.
that's still a big level up. That's still a big step up. That helps
Yeah.
greatly. As
Mm,
well as that, uh, in terms of finding a mentor, I remember I was asking um one of the guys from my church, hey, I'm looking for a mentor. Um, and it's been so hard. Do you know of anyone? And he turned to me. He goes, Patrick, have you prayed about it yet? And I said, oh, no, no, I haven't. And I was looking for a mentor for about 3 months. Like I remember, I was texting people on Instagram,
Instagram.
um, like, hey, can you help me? Can you mentor me? And people just would not reply to me. They would leave me undelivered, like, and all sorts of stuff. But those obviously weren't the people for me. So when
Mm,
I prayed and God just kind of gave me a clear picture, it just made more sense. And then like within I have three mentors really,
yeah.
and for different three different areas of my life, and got them all in like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. But it took me. I was searching for like literally 3 to 6 months before that,
Mm,
and so when I just prayed, God really helped and aided me. So I think having mentorship in your life is so important.
yeah.
It's a part of having wise counsel.
Mm,
And we know that's important.
yeah.
When I say wise counsel, what comes into your head?
What comes into my head when I think wise counsel is the person that's gonna knock your head and tell you what are you doing. It's the person that's gonna tell you what other people wouldn't tell you. It's the person that's gonna, you know, direct you back on the wise path, on the right path, on the right path, you know.
Mm,
That's what I would think of when you say wise counsel. I would think of my mentor. I would think of someone that um would keep me accountable.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think of like, let's say I'm in a courtroom,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I walk into the courtroom,
Mm,
and there's almost, let's say there's a jury, and I explain my situation to the jury,
mm,
and obviously everyone in the jury gives me their opinion.
mm,
That's what I think about with my wise counsel.
mm,
So it's a place where I go and get advice. Ultimately, I still make the decision, but I run my decisions through these people because sometimes I don't trust myself to make the right decision.
mm,
I'm only a man. I'm only a human.
mm,
Sometimes I need more wisdom that I don't possess.
mm,
I need experience that I don't possess.
mm.
So I will surround myself with people who have those things in abundance,
Yeah.
and I'll come to them when I need them. and they'll give
Mm.
me their advice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I follow it, sometimes I don't, because I still ultimately make the decision.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important that every single person has wise counsel.
Yeah.
You know,
Where are areas that in your life that you feel like if you didn't have wise counsel, you like your life would be much, much different?
every area of my life. Like I believe so much in wise counsel.
Mm.
Like us getting married,
Yeah.
I seeked a lot of counsel.
Mm.
Us even moving into this place,
Mm.
and I seeked a lot of counsel.
Mm.
When I'm doing new things or I'm making big decisions, I seek a lot of counsel because
Mm.
I want to make a good decision. I
Mm.
also pray a lot about it, but sometimes some decisions are practical,
Mm.
you know. So I'll seek counsel. So I think every area of my life would be completely different. I
Mm.
have wise people around me.
Mm.
Again, I don't pride myself in being wise, but I do have wise people around me.
Mm.
And I want you to imagine, if you think of the five wisest people you know,
Mm.
and imagine you being able to go to them for advice, and then you make a decision of that advice. You'd have a much broader perspective. A
Mm.
lot, like I remember before we got married, going to advice for different people. Some people said, "Yeah, do it."
Mm.
Some people said, "Be prepared, but it's gonna be the best thing ever." Some people said, "Don't do it."
Mm.
I still made the decision that I wanted to pursue this,
Yeah.
but I still seeked counsel. A lot of
Mm.
people make a lot of stupid mistakes, so they don't seek counsel.
Mm.
And I have to tell people sometimes stop being stupid and come talk to someone.
Mm. What would you say to anybody that is scared to open up to someone about, what's going on in their lives, like areas that they're struggling?
I remember I opened up about something that is probably still one of the most vulnerable things
Mm.
um, I could share about myself with another human being. And I remember when I shared and opened up, nothing really came from it. It was, I felt like I opened up for no reason. I felt like I shared for no reason. I felt there's a little bit of, I feel a little bit betrayed. I feel a little bit like there was many feelings that went on for myself in that time, but I did not let it stop me from being vulnerable again.
Mm.
We talk about this with a restaurant. If you go to one bad restaurant and the food tastes terrible and you get food poisoning, it doesn't mean the next restaurant that you go to is going to give you the exact same result.
Mm.
Sometimes you go to someone that you thought would give you good advice. Sometimes you open up with someone and you thought they would treat you one way, and for some reason they didn't.
Mm.
It could be because they weren't the person you thought they were. It could be because there's stuff going on in their life that you don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But that can't cause you to now hide and shelter away from all people.
Mm.
A lack of vulnerability, transparency, and honesty within you
Mm.
to others will be very, very, very visible to notice and to see in yourself in the next couple of years.
Mm.
It won't make a difference straight away, but keep carrying that um baggage, keep carrying around that dark, like by dark I mean it's hidden.
Mm.
Keep carrying that around, and sooner or later you're gonna realize this is actually heavier than what it once was before.
Mm.
The longer you keep a secret, the heavier it gets.
Yeah.
You realize that like the longer you hold on, just like, the heavier it gets.
Mm. That's so true.
It's also harder to say.
Yeah.
So like I tell people, um, someone knows at least one area of my life.
Mm.
There's nothing about me that's completely hidden.
Yeah.
I wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit,
Yeah.
but I may cover up when I'm around you, but to others, my heart is on my sleeve.
Mm.
And I don't. My wife Megan knows everything about me, but I go beyond that as well
Mm.
because I don't want our marriage to become this safety nest of confession and nothing actually transpires from that
Mm.
because it's just become a normal thing either.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond that as well,
Yeah.
you know. So talk to people, find people you can trust.
Mm.
Um, don't be a wuss about like don't be a wuss if someone comes and tells you the truth.
Mm.
Take the truth on the chin.
Mm.
You know, if you only want to hear thoughts that make you feel good and warm, on the inside, then you're never gonna grow. You know, like a seed needs to be in darkness, it needs to be in the dirt before it can grow into anything. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to get down and dirty with someone.
Mm.
You know, I thought that I didn't. I felt like it's a good analogy because the seed is down and dirty, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it sounds a little bit sexual.
Don't look at me.
Oops, sorry.
Okay.
You look beautiful.
Stop. So, mentorship,
Yeah,
um, honesty and truth, and
yeah, all amazing stuff. Is there anything you'd like to add on mentorship? Really?
mm, if you don't have it, get it.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, go and find it because we weren't meant to do this life alone.
Mhm.
We like literally like God made Adam and Adam was bugging out. He had to give him Eve.
I don't know if it's bugging out.
He had to have been bugging out. He was too lonely.
You know, some translation
What?
it says he got a headache. It's in. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, but like for real, like we were made for community. We were
Yeah,
made for relationship.
yeah,
And we were made to, call each other to be better. So I'm sure everyone is striving to be their better versions of themselves. And to do that, you do need people to pull you higher. So getting a mentorship will only aid you and it's not going to hinder you. So if you don't have one, if you're looking to grow, if you're on a journey, go find a mentor, go find someone to help you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fact.
Mm,
Well, guys, we'll leave it there.
mm,
I hope you guys learned a little bit from that episode.
mm,
I hope there's some stuff in this episode that have challenged you and to act on certain things that we have said.
mm,
We can't wait for the next episode to release. It's going to be a really good one. It's one of our favorites. Guys, we appreciate you so much. Please make sure you do. Please like, comment, and also share this podcast with someone.
mm,
If something was interesting or you think there is a part of this podcast that might relate or be really good for someone that you know, please send this podcast to them.
mm.
Again, we want to spread the name of Jesus one video at a time
Yeah.
to not just our nation of Ireland, and not just America, not just Africa, but the entire world.
Mm.
So we hope to fulfill that mission that God has placed in our hearts. But again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll
Thank
see you next
you.
time.
Bye.
Peace.